Located somewhere at the crossroads of spirituality and the supernatural, heaven and hell, faith and fear, this is the Salvation Report.
Salvation.
And now, here is your host, world-renowned author and researcher, Robert Stanley.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Salvation Report. I'm your holy host, Robert Stanley, godcasting from sunny southern Florida. And today is Saturday, March 14th, 2026. And it looks like the technology is being cooperative. Oh, that's weird how it changes when I move back and forth here. The lighting is always a bit tricky, but anyway, you can see me. And what I wanted to do is speak with you tonight is an issue that I learned the hard way. Hearing protection is very important. Those of us who have firearms and practice know that you don't go to a range and fire a gun unless you have hearing protection. Recently, I was foolish enough to walk outside and fire a pistol, a .22 pistol, and with no hearing protection. And I've had .22s in the past, and what I didn't realize is that a .22 Magnum is actually very, very loud. So immediately lost hearing to some degree. It started coming back, but now I've got a mild case of tinnitus or tinnitus, however you want to say it. Okay, doesn't matter to me. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more. I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about how this hearing condition can be resolved, because I was able to over time minimize the volume of it, even though it's not in my ears. What I learned later is it's actually neurons firing in my brain. So that's where that's coming from, and I'm sure a lot of people are suffering from it. I apparently already had it from other previous damage from playing loud music, surfing a lot, motorcycles, things like that. But what I wanted to talk to you about, because as you know, the world is really a very crazy place right now. We're seeing more and more of this, and I expect this. I mean, it's not just this. There's definitely all kinds of craziness going on across the world, but especially, I mean, I'm an American. I'm in Florida. It's like, a lot of people are armed, but that's not stopping the crimes that we're seeing here. So sleeper cells and lone attackers, like we saw in Austin and other places here, like Virginia and Michigan, that is a real problem. So obviously, I would say, do what you can to defend yourself, and but don't be foolish. I mean, really, the first rule is to try and escape. Evade if possible, shelter. But if you have to, then you're going to defend yourself. Now, here's the thing: it's actually legal for just about anybody, I guess, who's an adult, to carry a firearm concealed. It might even be open carry. Now, I forget. They keep changing it. But the bottom line is there's a lot of people with guns around here, including myself. And when I walk out the door to protect, have this protection, if God forbid I have to fire that weapon, I'm probably going to lose a lot of my hearing, even though I usually don't have a Magnum gun with me, a pistol, right? But it's just once you reach a certain level of volume, decibels, the hearing loss is almost instantaneous. And I went to an audiologist, and they tested my hearing, and yes, some of the higher end stuff is gone, but generally speaking, I mean, my hearing is still okay. And so I'm going to show you some of the hearing protection that I'm using right now when I go out of my home and I'm carrying a firearm to protect myself in case I'm in a situation. Now, I don't wear this all the time, but I mean, if I think I'm going someplace where I might need it, even if I'm driving in the car, you're going to see there's ways that you can have ear protection, hearing protection, and still be able to hear what's going on around you. Okay. There's two ways to do this. You can, and I'll show it to you, but the greater problem, you might have guessed this by now, considering where I'm coming from, but the real problem we're facing with here is demonic. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Clearly, that is true. It's, in my opinion, though, that is not a fully accurate statement, because we're not just wrestling with spiritual beings. There's a physical component to this as well, and that's why I'm doing this public service announcement, let's call it. Protecting your hearing when you're carrying a firearm in public. Now, all law enforcement and military, they do this routinely. Civilians like myself have to learn, and I was aware of it previous to prior to my stupidly firing a pistol without one shot, and that's all it takes. Okay, it can cause damage at certain levels, and believe it or not, a little .22 Magnum is as loud as a .460 Magnum, which I couldn't even believe it when I read it. Right? It doesn't even make sense to me. But okay, whatever. It's just too loud. That's the bottom line. We need to be aware of the fact that without protection for explosions, and I don't know how people in the Middle East are running around, taking video and stuff, or Ukraine or whatever. They're taking videos of all these stuff, and I doubt they have ear protection. I could be wrong, but anyway, it's not that expensive, and it's obviously could save you. It could save your hearing. All right, that's why I'm doing this, because that's what I'm trying to do. I was very fortunate. It's very foolish, but I'm also very fortunate that it wasn't any worse. That's so. Okay, so the most. Okay, so this is one of the things that you can do. One of the things I'm doing. All right. These things are actually quite small. And what happens is they have a filter inside the earplug. So it's actually hollow in there, but they put a filter in there. And what that does is analog. I think they call it analog. So, and I'll have links to these things down below, and others. If you want to look, you can, feel free. But on this report, on my Substack, robertstanley.substack.com, if you're just listening, please go over there to my Substack, and you can link to these products that I'm using. Okay. And it's actually quite simple. You see that, right? Just fits in your ear, and it's very comfortable, and I can hear things, but I also have some protection. It's actually not much. I think it would be enough with the level of firepower that I carry with me. It would be enough for me at least to be able to, shoot at and in self-defense and not go deaf. Ideally, and this to me, it's kind of a trade-off. All right. It's kind of a trade-off. I wish this was simpler, but okay, I'll show you the next product. Okay, I wonder if how do I get, okay. I'm going to show you this. So this is what I recently purchased. This, and I've tried a few different other brands and I returned them. This is the top of the line. It was suggested, highly recommended by a shooting instructor who had like over 20 years experience. He'd obviously tried a bunch of them as well. They're not all created equal, but this is what I would call digital. It's not analog, but so everything is processed. And when you put these things in your ears, you have to turn them on and you can adjust the volume so you can hear, it's magnification actually. So you not only hear ambient stuff, you can hear beyond your normal range of hearing. However, anything over 85 decibels, it cuts it off. And I mean, it does it it seems like instantly. It's a fraction of a second. So even if it was a very loud explosion, it's not going to damage your ears. And these things are very comfortable. They're a little strange looking, but see if I can run this for you. It's not just for hunters, obviously, but it does these, and these have Bluetooth. All right, I tried ones without it. It was pretty bad. The audio quality, I mean, because that does make a difference. These systems, you want to be able to hear clearly. You got to be able to hear what's going on around you. Okay, that's called situational awareness, and you really need that. I mean, even if you don't have a firearm, you need to pay attention. Again, that's why I'm kind of reminding you where there's a physical component and then there's a spiritual component. So one of the things that I do every day, every night when I pray is, dear Lord, cover me with the full armor of God. And I say just, dear Lord, cover me with your full armor of light. I know it's not armor, but it's a shield. Shield me from the satanic forces that are imprisoned here who want to do harm, because that's what they do, obviously. And they're using humans to hurt other humans. Sometimes, it's unavoidable. But, and I really don't want to hurt anybody, but at the same time, I'm not just going to be a victim. Okay. Because we're all targets. And this is the other thing I've learned. It's very unpleasant to have to say this, but I'm just going to remind you, we are living on a battlefield, and everybody is vulnerable and susceptible to great harm or death here. And it seems to be escalating in that direction. And that is because, in my opinion, and I've studied this at length, there is a group who have infiltrated all three major religions, and they are pitting one against the other to destroy them all and replace them with a satanic one world religion. And that is Kabbalah. That is the theology of the Satanists. It's not called Satanism, it's called Kabbalah or Kabbalism. And it's not benign. I don't want to get into all the details of that. All right. That's really not, although there is one book I'm going to post down below. I've already posted on Substack, but I'm going to post it in this report because I think it's well worth reading exactly how we got into this situation where, if I understand this correctly, to summarize what's going on, the introduction of this book is, the fallen angels are going to be replaced in God's kingdom by us at some point. Those of us who remain loyal and loving to God are going to replace the fallen angels that are literally going to just be taken off the board and isolated permanently. It's very serious. And one of the reasons that they attack us so much is because we are created in the image of God. And those of us who love God, specifically children, are more connected to God than adults, typically, not always. But the more a person is connected and loves God, the bigger the target they are for these satanic forces. And some of you may already know that. Say, hey, why are you stating the obvious, Robert? Well, because not everybody knows this. Okay, so that's why we have to ask for this shield, the armor of God. That's the way Paul put it, I believe. Or maybe it was Matthew. But the bottom line is we need to ask for protection. We can't just rely on weapon systems because honestly, yes, I carry a firearm, but at the same time, I'm not stupid. I know that there's much more advanced weapon systems that could target me. A drone would be an example, lock onto me and fire, or do a kamikaze run or whatever. And it gets worse from there. These what you kind of heard briefly about in Venezuela. The people are bleeding. The soldiers were bleeding from their eyes and nose and mouth. Well, that's brain bleed. They were having sonic weapons are not new, but they're very devastating, very, very devastating. The bottom line is we're extremely vulnerable. We're all fragile to some extent. Yeah, we are resilient, but at the same time, physically, humans are very fragile and can be damaged easily. So anyway, this is, don't want to get too far off on this, but the book I'm going to put in this report down below. Let's see, do I have it? Oh, yes, I do, actually. Sorry. Sometimes I get caught up so much I don't even remember what I did before coming on the air. This book. Okay. All right, so let me explain. In the Bible, God is called Elohim. That is God with a capital G. Then you have the Benai Elohim. That is God's with a small g. Below that, you have the Nephilim. Okay. Elohim, Benai Elohim, Nephilim. The Nephilim are hybrid, and they are, what I'm saying is they have some human DNA, but they also are a fallen angel or something, genetically modified by the in the laboratories of the fallen angels, who have given us technology and weapons of war ever since we met with them. That's according to Book of Enoch. So they didn't just create hybrids. They created, there's some of us obviously are working with them, collaborators, traders, whatever. Excuse me. I've been trying different things with the lighting and also the audio. I've changed the audio. Hopefully it's a little bit clearer now, a little bit more punchier. There's a lot of different ways you can set this stuff up, but it's just so I've been tinkering around. I'm not a tech expert, so thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry for some of the glitches that I've had in the past. I think I've got them all ironed out now, hopefully, because there's a lot of different guests I'd love to have on. I know you don't just want to listen to me ramble on about things. So, but anyways, I do appreciate you guys keeping in touch with me through Substack. And if you want to email me, it's unicuseditor@gmail.com. It's UNICUS editor@gmail.com. If you want to have a private communication, because we were in perilous times and I don't see it getting better. Look, I'm praying for peace. Let's just be honest. I'm praying for peace, but I'm prepared for war because, here's the bottom line. From what I understand, this planet is a battlefield. It has been that way even before God put us here, as in our current format. All right. And no, we weren't a bunch of apes running around with sticks and stones. We've always been what we are. And that includes having technology and techniques of violence. But I'll tell you something else, since I'm going off on this tangent. I'm convinced that God did not create what was called the tree of good and evil. And that's a whole nother subject that I'll get into at a different time. But I have a lot of evidence to prove what I just said. All right, and it's actually how could a loving God put us here and then also have put, evil? If he's good, why would he have put that so-called tree there? I can tell you what the tree really is. It's called a Sephiroth. It's the I believe that's what the whole tree is called the. I should have a diagram. I'm sorry. Anyway, it is. I believe it's called the Sephiroth. The 10 spheres connected together. That's all from Lucifer. That's part of Kabbalah. That is the knowledge of good and evil that God warned us. He did warn us about it. He didn't create it, though. It's very misleading the way that's presented, not only in King James, but the Septuagint, however you say it, even the Ethiopian Bible. It's all very, it's insinuated that God put that tree there, but it's not a tree, and he didn't put it there. Okay, that's a metaphor. That is a metaphor. And by the way, if I haven't said it before, or you haven't read any of my reports about this, the forbidden fruit is the fruit of the womb, a child. God warned our ancestors not to sacrifice and consume children or any other human being, actually, not even blood in general. And yet it happened. According to certain traditions in Jewish and Islamic history, that's what happened in the Garden of Eden. That's what led to our fall, but God obviously had other plans, or has other plans, and it's been 1 year actually since I was saved, baptized, and delivered. And I do feel transformed in a good way, but it's been it's not just difficult. It's been a roller coaster, absolutely a roller coaster, but I'm grateful. I am extremely grateful that God showed mercy on me and gave me an opportunity to have a relationship with him on his terms. I mean, I rejected it for most of my life. I rejected that offer because it made me very uncomfortable. I was scared. Actually, to be honest with you, I was scared and ignorant. So I'm glad that's behind me, but I mean, it's just, so now what? And I guess you're seeing what's what. It's the salvation report is a is a reflection of who I have become, and I should say who I'm becoming as a servant of God. And I don't mean that in religious terms. Anyways, I'm trying not to get off on a tangent, but there's just a lot of stuff that's been on my mind, and I know exactly what's going on this planet. I'm not saying I have all the answers, okay? But I'm looking at the really big picture of how we got here and how we can protect ourselves from these angelic anarchists that are running around, pulling strings, manipulating mankind, turning us one against the other so that they can control us. Divide and conquer. That's what and it seems to be working. It seems to be working very well. And I'm really sad, and I know God is too, that this is happening. But I also rejoice in the fact that his plans beyond, once this is resolved, what he has in store for those of us who love him and are loyal is well, I don't have all the details. I just know it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be better than we can even imagine, because we're so inundated with all this cruelty and corruption death, destruction. It's hideous. It is. I'm horrified, honestly, every day by it. And if I didn't have a relationship with God, I would have lost hope for humanity a long time ago, I think. And so anyway, so like I said, it's not just physical protection, but these are things. These devices actually do work, and they're not that expensive. I mean, relatively speaking, I know this looks like a joke, but it's not. That can actually save your hearing. It's not as good as the other ones, but these are a little bit more bulky, and obviously you don't want to have Bluetooth in your ear. That's another health hazard, that we're being bombarded with all this radiation and other things, right? So I don't want to add to that too much, but I also don't want to go deaf. So, and I'm sure you don't either. And, it's weird. I took a proficiency class in firearms in order to qualify for a permit. Before now it's just legal here in Florida. Anybody who's an adult, I believe, is allowed to just go purchase a firearm and carry it with them. But when I first signed up, you actually had to go, get an instructor, and they would walk you through some basics and go to a range and make sure you could actually hit a target and not, have an issue. So it's just, but this is like, even when I texted the guy and I said, hey, what kind of ear protection do you wear when you go out in public and you're carrying your firearm? And he didn't even respond, which I thought was weird. And even another friend of mine he's been way before I was into it. He for security reasons, he has to have a firearm with him at all times. Pretty much. I mean, you don't want to get into trouble with the law, but he told me, hey, don't do that, because if you have to go to court, they're going to say that was premeditated, that you were wearing this hearing protection because you thought you were planning to go out and shoot somebody. I'm like, I'll take my chances. I really don't think that they can. That sounds a little paranoid. I don't think that anybody can prove that in a court of law. That my argument is, I'm just trying to protect my hearing in case I have to fire a weapon, outside my home. The other thing is, I don't even know what's going to happen if I have to, use firearms in my home. I have high ceilings. I don't have carpet. It's very loud when the dog barks. It's like, the acoustics is what I'm trying to say. Especially if it's at nighttime, you wake up and it's so quiet at night and suddenly boom. It's literally like that. Guns don't go bang. They go boom. I'm sorry. They go, depending on the thing, it's a very loud explosion. And you don't. Okay, I feel like an idiot now. All right. What else can I tell you? I have a special guest coming up next week. I'm reading her book right now, Book of Heaven, even though she had to go through hell to get there. Man, there's a lot of suffering on this planet. Again, it's a battlefield. Okay. I understand it. I understand. I've been through it. I'm going through it right now. My wife and I have suffered greatly, but we're still grateful to God for all the blessings he's bestowed upon us. And, anyway, I hope you found this little public service announcement. I hope you found it helpful, because I don't know why people don't talk about it. Even at gun shops, I've been to a lot of gun shops. None of these guys ever, not one of them, ever said anything to me about having hearing protection when you're carrying a firearm in public. I don't understand why. So anyway, this is what I was motivated to do this. I felt compelled because I'm finally there. I'm finally doing it. It feels a little awkward, especially the digital ones, because it is, when you put that on, it's like having your ears. I can hear, but I can also hear my voice in my head. It's like, yes, it's a much higher level of protection, but it's also, there's this just like, it's a little bit cumbersome, takes some getting used to, and you'll have to decide which system is best. I have both, just and it wasn't that expensive. I think I got both for about, if you combine it, it was about $200, 40 for one and 160 for the other, something like that. Anyway, just not a lot of money considering the if it can help, if it does, and I'm sure it does, it's got to be better than stupidly walking around and shooting something and not having nothing. Because let me tell you something, it hurts. It hurts when your ears go numb, and then you're left with a ringing in your ears. It's not really even in your ears. Tinnitus, or whatever you want to call it, is no joke. Oh, so that was the other thing. I'll put that in a link down below. Okay, there's some video you need to see. There's a technique, and I've been doing it, and it actually works. It doesn't eliminate it, but it minimizes it. Literally just brings the volume down. It calms the nerves, the firing of the neurons. It calms it down, brings it down. Also, there's a supplement. Now, there's some that are better than others, as far as, because I'm a supplement junkie, I guess you call it. I take a whole lot of supplements every day. But there was the audiologist, when I got my ears checked, she said to me, there's a supplement you can take that actually will help relieve that somewhat. It won't eliminate it, but it'll bring it down. So here's the other thing. I stopped drinking tea. I'd already cut coffee, all right? But I stopped drinking tea, and that it does have caffeine. And the volume went down, which is surprising. It also says in the literature you can, if you cut out sugar and salt, that will help too. But sorry, I enjoy eating, and good food tastes good because it's got stuff in it. It's like seasoning, sugar, salt, whatever. So that's kind of not out of the question. But the bottom line is, if you're suffering from ringing in your ears or hissing, it actually sounds more like hissing to me, but there's some techniques, there's some supplements, and there's hearing protection. So there's a few things here. This is actually a very holistic view of how you can not only protect your ears, but deal with the tinnitus. I'm not trying to guarantee anything for anybody, okay? Everybody's different. I was actually quite surprised, pleasantly surprised, that it worked to some degree. I still have it. Oh, that's the other thing. Because I do have tinnitus, the quieter it is, the more I notice the hissing, right? In my brain, ears, whatever. And something. There I am. Now I can actually look at myself. God. When I put this in my ears, or this one, you can see that. And I'll show you what it looks like. It's not big, but it's it really has to go in there a ways, in order for it to work. And but the bottom line is, as soon as I do that, then I hear the hissing more. It's just it's a consequence of it. You can't stop it. So it's a trade-off, but and you'll get used to it. I just feel like it's so important. It's really important, and I really do not want to shoot anybody if I don't have to. That's not going to happen. All right, that's part of the training. It's a muscle memory, and you learn not only just to hit a target, but you learn about the situational awareness, the how to evade first, hide, and then attack. If you have to, what I was told by, fortunately, one of the people I've gotten friends with down here is a retired military officer who also served 20 years in as an air marshal. And he carried a firearm in public in really, really tense situations in aircraft and airports. And he would do team drills and stuff. And they had to qualify, I think, every 6 months. So he gave me some pointers about if you engage a target, you shoot to kill, because you just don't know. And especially these days. And every situation is different. It's called proportionality. You don't, I mean, legally, you're responsible. I'm responsible. If I fire anything out of a gun, I'm 100% responsible. Okay. And it's probably going to go to, I mean, it will end up in court. And that's why I carry an insurance card. There's a company that I work with. I pay a fee to be a member of their legal service. So again, if you're going to carry a firearm, you should have insurance. That's all they do. That's all they do is legal counsel for people that are involved in defensive shootings, whether it's in your home or public, doesn't matter. And that's all they do. You really want to have that before you get into a situation, not after. You want to have that. It's worth every penny. And so I don't know. This sorry if this sounds paranoid, but I'm trying to be very practical about what I'm telling you. There's a reason for all of this, and I look forward to the day when we don't have to live like this. And it's so weird because where I'm living in this community here in Southern Florida, I walk out at night, walk my dog. It's so peaceful. It's quiet. It's relatively safe. I mean, really, compared to some of the neighborhoods like Miami or other places north of me, it's safe. And, and yet I look at my device, I look at the news, and I'm just like, wow, it's like two different worlds. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that, but I'm also not stupid enough to just take it for granted how dangerous things are right now. And it's not just terrorists, mad Muslims. There's literally people that are, I feel, are possessed. And that's why I showed you that thing about what Paul said, that we are wrestling with the spiritual enemy. And it's also in the book that I'm going to provide down below. What was it called? Judgment of the Nephilim. Judgment of, that means that they're being judged. And we're actually, those of us who are loyal and loving to God, when judgment day comes, we are going to witness. We'll be part of the judgment process because we're going to take their place. And all the heinous acts that they have carried out against us because they hate us, simply because they hate us. And all of that is going to be ultimately, it's going to go against them legally. That God has rules. And so, all right. Anyway, I feel like I swear I feel like I'm always preaching to you guys. But I do appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully you'll share this report and these links that for other people, if you know anybody, because it increasingly, especially here in Florida, I think the majority of the people here now, it's so easy to have a gun. I know Florida is just one state, but I imagine a lot of people are carrying firearms now, even if it's not exactly legal. So hopefully this helps some of you. And I guess that's all for now. All right. That concludes another salvation report. Until next time, may God bless you always and in all ways. Good night. bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light up above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.